trust the internet to do me dirty on the first session. So, as we were saying, the conversation starts right now, today, with the question of profits or purpose. To guide us through this conversation is Kirsten Rutherford. Okay. I hope my internet stays behaving well. Kirsten is the Executive Creative Director at TBWA Shy Day Los Angeles. Her career is defined by creative work that delivers both cultural impacts and business growth. What makes Kirsten the right person for this conversation is not just her experience with award-winning campaigns, but it's her belief in making the world a better place. Please, can you mute yourselves? Thank you. Kirsten believes in making the world a better place through kindness and creativity. So to make the most of today's session, we're going to ask 3 simple things from you. 1, be present. This is your time. So please close the tabs, silence the notifications, and make this time count. 2, engage. Please turn on your camera, be visible, and share your thoughts and questions in the chat. And use the hand raise function if you'd like to speak. 3, exit quietly. If you need to leave, we do understand. All we ask is that you do not announce it in the chat. The session is being recorded, so you will be able to catch up later. And obviously, we have a shameless plug. We'd love for you to show us some love on social media. We are TBWA GLP. We are on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we'd love for you to show us some love. We will share the links in the chat along with the details of the upcoming session. Before we get into it, I do have a question for you. We want to check where you are. So the question is, what feels the hardest about showing up as your true self at work? We have a poll question. Please let me know if you can see the poll, if it's coming up.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
Fantastic. So it's always interesting to see where the collective stands. We've got a big split between the pressure of money. Now, if you are ready to step into this conversation, let us welcome Kirsten Rutherford. Over to you.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to meet you. I can't see a lot of you right now, and I just want to make sure you can all hear me. I'm so excited to chat with you. I'm sure the internet is going to screw us all over many times, but I want to have a lot of fun today. So can someone give me a thumbs up or let me know if they can hear me all right?
We hear you.
Yay, wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. I am going to share content. Good luck to us all. Let's see if this is actually going to work. I'm going to try this here. Sharing my content now, having a look, pulling up a big screen. Can you see the words profit or purpose? Pick 2.
Yes.
It looks fantastic,
Great.
Kirsten.
Yes.
Yay! Okay. Oh, I love all those little yellow thumbs up. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. So, hi everyone. I couldn't be more excited and privileged to be chatting with you today. Full disclosure, you may have seen the film leading up to this and thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have to pick one, profit or purpose. Well, spoiler alert, you don't have to. I truly believe that you can find both in this world. I don't believe that you have to choose. So the premise of this hour today, can purpose and profit live together? I say absolutely yes. So my mission today is to help you find the center of that lovely little Venn diagram, a place where your values, your why, can align with the values of your job or your agency. So to help you find the intersection between the two, where you can find happiness and success at the intersection of profit and purpose. So look, I come across as a very bubbly person. I like to see the world as glass, very, very full, but I know it's not all rose-colored glasses right now. And forgive me, I I swear quite a bit, and as a Kiwi, I'm just going to put it straight to you. Life can be bloody hard. Yeah, maybe your client, maybe your role sometimes isn't quite what you want it to be. Maybe sometimes we feel like we're stuck in Groundhog Day. So today what we're going to do is work together to help you articulate your core values and then find some strategies that allow those values to keep you grounded. And if you are stuck in Groundhog Day, those core values will help you show up in other ways, even if the job isn't quite where you want it to be or the role isn't quite where you want it to be yet. Because here's the thing, after you can learn to articulate your core values, you can maybe even learn to articulate your purpose. But those values can help you in your decision making, whether they are big decisions or small decisions. And what I'm talking about today isn't just based on Kirsten science. This is based in true science as well, which is great. When you align your daily activities with your values, you get a true sense of why, and that's really helpful in stressful times as well. So living by your values helps you foster a sense of self, and it helps you show up to be really authentic in what you do. And that's something I'm really proud of. If we can show up as our true selves, that can inspire others as well to be themselves. And you know, studies show that when you focus on your values, well, this is crazy, you can even increase your pain tolerance, you can enhance your self-control, and you definitely become more resilient. And these can act as a moral compass. They can help you navigate times when they get really complex or tough, and they can be a really powerful form of self-esteem. So I'm excited to share some things with you, and I thought I might introduce myself just a little bit first and teach you about some lessons that I've learned in the 5,001 years I have approximately been in advertising. So a little bit about me. I'm Executive Creative Director at TBWA Chart Day in Los Angeles. I'm originally a New Zealander. I moved to London in 2004. I became a British person. Then over a decade ago, I moved to California, all thanks to advertising. So the end result of that is I really have no idea what my accent sounds like anymore. And I also realize when I get excited, I speed up. So I will slow down so you can understand my weird global accent. I started in advertising in 1997, and I know some of you probably weren't even born there. I knew I wanted to be a copywriter from the age of 8 years old. And now I know that seems pretty ridiculous, but I am a precocious child of advertising. My earliest memories of advertising come from my dad, Glenn, and that picture on the left-hand side, that's my dad, Glenn. He's no longer with me, but he was in advertising, and yes, I do look like Sia. That is my actual hair on the left-hand side. My mother decided in the mid-'80s that bowl cuts were a good thing, like literal bowl cuts, so forgive the hair. So look, my dad would take me into the office on the weekends when he had to do some work. And the thing about Leo Burnett is they would always have this bowl of lovely red apples at reception. And trust me, as a 5 or 6 year old, there was no way that I was going to eat those apples. Instead, Leo Burnett had Sprite as a client. And this was the only time that I was ever allowed fizzy drink. So I would go into the agency and I would get completely hyped up on sugar. Oh, yes. Go ahead.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Hi. Sorry,
Yeah.
the slides aren't changing. I don't think you can see the chat.
Oh my goodness, I can't see the chat. Let me have a look here.
Oh,
Yeah, the slide. Krista,
yeah,
are
that
you
sounds
are
great.
you-
Still looking at my mission.
I am definitely changing. So let's have a look. Let's see what's going on. Well, we knew the internet was
Thank
going to
you.
screw us today. Thank you so much for letting me know. What am I going to do there? I'm going to stop sharing. It's going to be so fun today. But you know what?
She's back.
you
We
are
are-
back.
We are all going to roll with this. I mean, this to me, I had a moment where it just told me that Teams is no longer going to work on my laptop. So that's going to be fun. So I'm going to try and share again. And Silandile, maybe you are able to pull that up for me just in case this happens again. I also have
Okay.
my phone.
Oh, Slamina's
But-
here. Okay. I'm like, she's not here neither.
No, I'm here, and let's try this. Let's try this again, because here we go. I'm gonna take 2, my friends. Why not? Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay.
Oh, that's so cute.
That's cute.
I'm going to spoil you with a terribly embarrassing shot of me as a kid. So look, this is my dad, Glenn, on the left-hand side. He'd take me into the agency. He'd get me hyped up on sugar, and immediately he'd let me run into the art director's offices. Now, there were no laptops back in the day. So I would be let loose in these offices with spirit markers. Now, spirit markers, it's a kid's dream come true. There'd be this rainbow of beautiful pens that I would be allowed to scribble away to my heart's content. Now, here's the problem with spirit markers. First off, they've got alcohol in them, so I got even more high on the scent of these spirit markers. And secondly, once you're high, you forget to put the caps back on. And if you take the caps off of these spirit markers, they dry up within 12 hours. And these were worth a lot of money back in the day. So you can imagine these poor art directors who would come into the office on Monday morning and they would have $400 worth of these beautiful markers completely destroyed by a hyped up 6-year-old who got high on the smell and high on sugar and basically was discovering the joy of advertising. So that was my earliest years, and it really encouraged me, maybe because I was chasing the spirit marker dragon. I wanted that smell forevermore. I wanted to become a copywriter from the age of 8. So look, when I hit age 15, that was lesson 1, by the way, is get into advertising. Now, when I hit 15, I wanted to become this copywriter. I always had been. So I thought, what am I going to do? My teachers told me at my fancy school that I should go to university, I should study Shakespeare, I should study politics, which I love. Shakespeare's fantastic, right? But I wanted to be a copywriter. In New Zealand, back in 1996, they didn't have an advertising degree program for creatives. They did have something called the Access Ideas School, and they published a brief in the national newspaper. And it was pretty crazy, but they only accepted 12 people a year. And this was a night course run by all of the agencies in the industry. So I was 17 years old, and my teachers, my headmistress, went against all of my teachers who said, go to university. And she said, do what the heck you want. So I decided to enter this competition. I answered the brief, and I got into this night course. It was myself, age 17, and a 40-year-old sheep farmer, because trust me, this is New Zealand and sheep farmers are pretty much everywhere. We have 60 million sheep and 4 million people. At the end of that night course, of the 12 people that went into this course, only 3 of us still wanted to do advertising, and that was pretty helpful because there were only 400 people in the industry back in the day. And that allowed me to get into the industry. So lesson number 1, no degree, no problem. There are other ways that you can get into this industry without a degree. And I got a job. I got a job at M&C Saatchi, which I thought was amazing as a baby copywriter. And then I got laid off. I got laid off after my first year. They laid off half the agency. Times were tough. And it hit me really, really hard. I got a bit depressed and I started working in a gelato store to pay my rent and ate my body weight in gelato, which was a nice distraction at the time. And I started knocking on the door of every chief creative officer in town. And one of the guys that I started calling every single week is the reason behind lesson number 2, find yourself an advocate. His name was Rob Sherlock. He was the MC at my wedding. I spoke to him last week. I still speak to him most weeks. He's become one of my biggest advocates. I wore him down by bugging him every single week. And he said to me, right, I don't have a full junior copywriter job for you, but I have part creative assistant. You can go get the coffees and you can be a part junior copywriter. So I did it. I was really, really excited. And to this day, he's become my absolute biggest advocate, to the point that I made a bit of a big boo-boo when I was pretty young. I entered a creative advertising competition, and the creative competition asked you to create postcards that would appear in every cafe in New Zealand. Postcards were a big advertising medium back in the day. And this was a sexual health awareness competition. So you had to do a campaign around sexual health awareness. So I created this campaign and I did really well, and they said, hey, can we publish your campaign? Very excited young me went, yes, absolutely you can. I didn't think about getting the permission of the model that I used on the front of the postcard. When you picked up the postcard, it said you've just picked up syphilis or you've just picked up gonorrhea. And I did that without getting permission of the models. So you can imagine what happens when this model appears in every cafe in New Zealand. This model's agent calls up my boss and threatens to sue. My boss, his core values were kindness. And most bosses would instantly fire you on the spot. He told the person he was going to fire me. He hung up the phone and he just laughed. My nickname was Baby back in the day. He said, "Baby, don't do it again." And I learnt my lesson. And I also learnt another lesson that day about core values. Kindness goes a long way. And that became one of the core values that I really respected because of the biggest advocate that I still have to this day, Rob Sherlock. So we're going to get a little bit more into core values today, but kindness really made an impression on me back then. If you look at that next image on the right hand side, that was my first letter of promotion. It says, "Congratulations, you are no more junior or attendant. You're now copywriter. Regards, Robin FCB." If you take another look at that, you'll see he wrote that on the back of a receipt for some wine that he bought. So it wasn't particularly formal back in New Zealand, but that I still have that to this day, which was my first promotion letter written on the back of a receipt for wine. The next lesson that I want to talk to you about today is being unreasonable. And this comes from my core values. And hopefully you'll be able to create some lessons from when your core values are articulated too. So I was able to articulate my core values and my purpose at age 39, thanks to some of the tools I'm going to share with you today. My purpose is to make the world a better place through kindness and creativity. And as an executive creative director, my purpose is also to nurture others to do the best work of their lives. And that takes me to lesson 3, which is be unreasonable. Advertising can be really hard, whether we're working on tight budgets, short deadlines, fragmented campaigns. We work so hard. I know every single one of us does. And in an effort to make things smart and beautiful, sometimes we forget to have fun, right? On top of this, you can't make people want to come up with good ideas. You can only create an environment where they want to do so. I also know that as a leader, it takes all kinds of people to find new ideas. We are all creatives. I'm not just talking about copywriters and art directors. Every single person here, we all work in the creative fields and we all have the ability to find these great new ideas, but we do it in different ways. There is one thing that we all have in common. That's the need to be seen, to be heard, to be understood and appreciated. So my core values of kindness and creativity have helped shape my leadership. And I think when it comes to creative, this is very Chaya, isn't it? Good enough is not good enough. We hold ourselves to these very high standards because nothing good is. Being reasonable is this idea of pairing unreasonable creative expectations with unreasonable humanity. And that's where the kindness comes in. Because I believe that when you give someone more than what they expect, something really remarkable happens. What you get back comes back to you tenfold in passion and loyalty and commitment. And I call this the unreasonable accelerator. So think unreasonable creative expectations paired with unreasonable humanity. That allows people to be seen, to be heard and supported. And from a leader's perspective, this is actually not that difficult to implement. Here's my tricks. I will never gatekeep these things, and they're really simple ones too. Get to know when someone's birthday is. Get to know what they would love to eat on their birthday. Get to know what brings them comfort when they've had a really hard day. Maybe there's a certain food or drink they like. But on a work sense, how do these people like to receive feedback? One size does not fit all. What works for one person might not work for another. If you are an extrovert, you might want your leader, when they want to praise you, to shout your name from the rooftops in front of absolutely everyone. If you're an introvert, the idea of a leader shouting you out might make your toes curl. You might much prefer a leader to just give you a quiet word and a pat on the back or an email that says, "Congratulations on a job well done." Because as the saying goes, right, at the end of the day, people will forget what you said or did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that unreasonable humanity allows people to be seen in the way that they would hope they would be. And that takes me to my last lesson here for me, the power of cookies. I love to bake. I bake a lot. I don't do it to fit a gender stereotype. I don't do it to show others up. I do it because it's my stress reliever. We have some amazing folks, creatives in our office. Some of them love basketball. Some of them love hip hop or music. For me, I love baking. It's healthier than having a drink at the end of the day, as long as I bring in my cookies to the office. I'm not going to put on heaps of weight either. And I love being able to share cookies or birthday cakes on people's birthdays, because again, when you surprise someone, when you give someone more than what they expect, baking cookies makes me feel great, and it also allows others to feel great too. So I call that the unreasonable accelerator, and it all comes from my values of kindness and creativity. One other little story, and the reason why it really sort of stuck with me. Back in the day in London, I worked at an agency which was really small, and I started baking people birthday cakes. And we got to the point that the agency started to grow, and there was one man, he was a designer, and he was a big grump. He just didn't get on with anyone. And I was baking him this cake after work and thinking to myself, do I really need to bake this person a cake? He is a big grump. I brought him in his cake the next day, and this guy cried. No one had ever baked him a cake before. That was an easy act of kindness for me. I'll tell you what, this guy was no longer a grump. He was never a grump ever again. He just became the biggest, softest teddy bear you can possibly think of to everyone in the agency. It was such a fun experience for me to be able to bake a cake and realize how much that meant to someone. That to me is why my core value is kindness, and a little bit of creativity as well. Okay, so here's what's happening today. Thanks for listening to my life story, but here's what I want to do to help you with your life story. Today, we're going to work together to determine your core values. I have a worksheet. It's a worksheet that you can take away, we can do in the moment. We have a table gathering next week where we can talk a little bit more about maybe the journey you've gone on in determining your core values, or you might get to that point today. And once you start to determine your core values, we're going to think about how that fits in the value Venn diagram, how your values sit with the values of your agency, and how you can put them into use so you feel happier in your job, and your job feels really happy with what you're bringing to it as well, that intersection between purpose and profit. And then I want to talk about using your moral compass. Sometimes things don't sit quite right in your job, in your life. How do you use your core values to make that moral compass feel a little bit more on the right side? And then how can we make that purpose real in both life and job as well? You know, the best decisions I've made that have helped shape my leadership in my life have always happened as a result of going back to those values. Okay, so there's a guy called Roy Disney. He's not Walt, he's Walt Disney's brother, but I love the fact that he also believed in this too. He said, it's not hard to make decisions when you know what your values are. And it's not just Roy Disney who thinks that. The Japanese have thought this for between 900 and 1300 years as well. They call this concept ikigai. Iki means life and gai means worth. This is a concept about finding joy, fulfillment, and balance in the daily routine of your life. It's the sweet spot where your passions and satisfaction combine, and it's your talents and satisfaction and passion that converge. That, as a result, finds you in a place where you can give the world what it needs and will reward you as well. It's your personal reason for getting up in the morning. And the Japanese say that ikigai is not just about work. It's about what brings you deep satisfaction in life. It encourages self-reflection to discover your values, strengths, and passions, and how you can contribute to the world. And in turn, it gives longevity and well-being back to you. So if you are ready, time to freak out, time to find your core values, and time to figure out your purpose. I'm kidding. You don't need to freak out. Not one bit. Some people will never be able to talk about what their purpose is. I'm really grateful that I can articulate mine. But even if you just get to the point today of figuring out what your values are, that's going to help you shape the decisions that you can make in your career and your life. Your core values can help you understand your personal motivations that shape how you live and feel. And I just want to quickly give you a really nice summation of it that one of my coaches gave to me, this great explanation. She said, if you don't live from your values, you end up living from expectations, which 99% of the time results in disappointment. When you live from your values and let them influence your decisions and choices, you're using a criteria that aligns with what matters most to you, which will result in you living your truth. I think living your truth is a very American phrase, isn't it? But I love it. I love how she sort of positioned it. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to, as the Brits say, we're going to keep calm and we're not going to carry on, but we're going to grab a worksheet and we're going to work through this together. So Silandele is going to put an editable worksheet in the chat. It's going to look like this. I would love for you to be able to take a second to download that worksheet, save a copy, and it's editable too, so you can start to use this and come back to it later on as well. I'll give you a beat and let's see if you can get that from the chat, if you can download it, and then as soon as you've downloaded it, I can give you a little outline of how these steps work, and then maybe we can take 10 minutes to work through them and have a wee chat about it. So yeah, is that in the chat? I'm daring not to go anywhere away from what's on my screen right now, just in case crap happens again and Teams shuts down on me. But have you got that in the chat?
Some people don't have the permission to download it.
Okay.
Yes, it's difficult to download. It's impossible to do that.
Okay, no problem. So we're going to pivot. This is going to be on screen, and you're going to have the ability to look through. You can see what's on my screen, right? Perfect.
Yes.
We will work with what's on the screen. We'll make sure that you can get this afterwards to take away. But we can work through it this way. All you need is your notes on screen, or you can have a notepad next to you. We can do it anyway. We can go old school and analog. I have no issues with that. I love pen and paper. So has everyone got some pen and paper nearby where we can start doing this exercise? Or a notepad, a digital notepad. I can see Gizzy on screen, so I'm going to go with it. And I can see some thumbs up. This is great. Okay, so see those first 2 pages. I've got a bunch of values on there. Now they're not completely unlimited, so you can always come up with your own values as well. But take a little moment to sort of read through those values. And I want you to have a look and pick your top 5 to 8. Oh, Emmanuel, hi, you've got your hands up.
Yeah, Kirsten, is it possible to zoom in?
Yeah,
So you
hell
can
yeah.
see,
I have got
Right,
old
thanks.
person eyes. And
Right.
trust me, because again, I was born 5,000 years ago. So I'm just going to see if I can, I can try and bring that up.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
no.
it's getting better.
It's doing that. Okay.
Yeah, this is it.
Let me do that. It's not all of them, unfortunately. If I do that, it does. Hang on. Okay, so let me see. If I bring a bit up, does
A
that
little bit.
work?
Yeah, just a little bit.
There we go.
Yeah,
We'll
I think we can manage with this. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
All right,
Appreciate it.
okay.
Thanks for letting me know.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Cool.
So take 5 to 8 words from that and see just and you can use your heart on this one. As you go through anything that just sort of vibes with you, as the Americans say, get the vibes for it, as the young people say, get the vibes, and write them down. And just take it around. And if there's something there that you're like, actually, no, nothing appeals, I want to write my own, write your own. 5 to 8 of them.
Question. Are there 4 columns? Oh, there are 4 columns. I just can't count. Never mind.
You're all good. I especially love now that I didn't double check the typos in this when we briefed it in, and I do love that in a couple of the columns you've got confidential, not for public consumption or distribution. So look, if distribution or confidentiality is one of your core values, write that one down too. And again, if all this feels like too much, and I will make sure after this that you get permission to have the sheet itself as well.
Yeah, we'll send the PDF via email to everyone in this meeting. Unfortunately, Teams is giving us challenges.
I think resilience is also a really good core value, which shows up well when you're dealing with teams.
How many do we need to pick again? Sorry.
Between 5 and 8.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. And again, don't overthink it. Use your heart. Something might just pop out to you. Alrighty, so I'll keep on going. And again, if you haven't picked 5 to 8, that's okay. You can always come back to this too. This will just give you a sense of how the exercise works. So how do you get down to 4 or 5 of those from 8? Okay, you've got to use your heart on these things. So if I go back here, let's go to the next part of the thing. Oh, and this is about clarifying your values. So if I took you down to 5, what would you pick? If I made you go down to 3, what would you pick? Think about the beliefs that are most important to you, that help you find your way in the dark, that fill you with a feeling of purpose. And I would love for you, as you think about those, to put them in an order of priority. Maybe there's a couple there that you just go, this is it. This is the number one thing for me. And as you can probably guess, kindness and creativity are the top 2 for me. But I would love you to put them into order of priority. And as you do that, ask yourself some questions, because that'll help you figure out the order. Does this value define me? Is this who I am on my absolute best day? On my best day, am I kind on my best days? Yeah, I probably am. Am I feeling creative on my best days? Yes. Is this a filter that I could use to make hard decisions? And something that might help you with that is thinking about the actions that come with that and giving yourself some examples. So I can, give you an example. And on the third page there, it talks about values. What actions can I take with this value? So when I think about kindness, that to me could be articulated in a bunch of different ways. One of those ways is nurturing others to do the best work of their life, or recognizing that everyone's different and they want to be seen and heard and understood. Kindness is the core value behind those actions. So you might find that using it in a sentence of the actions that you might take can help you get a sense of which one of those values is of higher priority for you than others. And again, if you can't do that today, that's okay too. This doesn't necessarily have to just be a 10-minute exercise. So I know Teams gave us a little bit of a nightmare early on. I will go a little quicker through this. Again, we can use the table gathering next week to go deep on these things as well. And I know we were going to share some of our words in the chat, but maybe we can do that for our table gathering as we think about time. The third step, once you've started to put those in order of priority, is to use those values to complete your value statement. So again, it doesn't have to be your purpose, but it's a statement of what those values are. So it's combining those words or phrases, maybe you've written them as phrases, into a couple of sentences that clearly describe what you mean. So of course I have kindness and creativity, and I also like the idea of something bigger than myself or something greater than myself. So that's how I articulated it as my values are kindness and creativity to make the world a better place. And you might find inspiration as you combine those together to complete your statement as well. And that can change. I mean, look, I started off with my core values that make the world a better place through kindness and creativity. But as I became a leader, I realized that creativity is not necessarily my own. I want to help others find the absolute best creativity they can in their lives too. So that's when I added nurturing others to do the best work of their lives. And that was an action for me that allowed me to be additive to my value statement and my purpose. With the time that we've got, have a think about where you've got to. I mean, I'm curious, has anyone done an exercise like this before? And maybe if you've got something that feels a little more formed, would you want to stick it in the chat and Silandele would just give me a sense of one of them? Because I am so curious some of the words that might align with other folks as well. So
If anyone would like to share one of their
Yeah.
values,
Yeah,
feel
even
free
just
to
one
drop it
word.
in the chat.
Yeah.
Josh says curiosity.
Oh, I love that. I love that, Josh. That's the heart of anyone who's a good creative, right? Always being curious.
Holly
Oh, that's
says
fantastic.
authenticity. I cannot say that word.
Authenticity, yes. Yes, and that's so cool because when you live your core values, you can show up authentically. Oh gosh, that's such a cool one. That makes so much sense with the exercise that we're doing. Because that authenticity, those core values allow you to make some decisions authentically and show up authentically. I love that. Let's do one more.
Geraldine, sorry, they're coming in so quickly now, which I love. Emmanuel says change.
Change. Oh, I love that. So embracing change and being open to that. Emmanuel, I think, am I putting words in your mouth when we read something like that?
Yes.
That is it the right words that I'm putting in your mouth?
Yeah,
Is that
right
what
words.
change
Yes,
means?
right words. Yeah, right
Yes.
words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're better than me. You're better at embrace. Oh my goodness, I find that really difficult. I think that's amazing that if one can roll with change and embrace that, that's hugely important. Because change is the only constant in our lives, isn't it? Okay, well look, we can table gather on this sort of thing because I would love to get a sense. You all very much excite me in this, but I want to go a little further because once you've done this exercise, no matter how long it takes, when you start to get into that space, let's talk about the Venn diagram. When you understand your values, what do you do next with them? Okay, what about the values of your company? How do you find that intersection between profit and purpose? So I've got some really easy hints for you to figure out what the values of your company are. I want you to think about your client roster and what the values are of your clients. Think about what's written on your agency walls. I'm lucky enough to be in Los Angeles, and those words are written 12-foot letters on the outside of our agency wall. Be more human, and if in doubt, be more dog, which makes me really happy because I'm a crazy dog mother, and I just, humanity is a big part of what helps me get out of bed in the morning as well. Luckily, my agency, it obviously makes sense, otherwise they wouldn't have written it in permanent marker on the side of the walls, right? Think about what's printed on your agency or your client's swag. What do you wear on your t-shirts? If I think back to the banners and the posters that hang from the ceiling at Chiat Day in Los Angeles, we have things like do the brave thing. Good enough is not good enough. We often talk around what values happen at the agency, what we believe in. We're a West Coast based agency, and that means conservation is a really big thing for what we do. Education is a really big part of what we do out in LA. And dogs. I mean, again, I just love that too. So have a think about what's written on your swag. This is great homework we can also talk about at the table gathering as well. And what can you do with it then? Okay, so how do you find that intersection? Are there brands in your building that share your values? Could you be additive to that brand or help it find its soul? I'm a group, as you can probably tell from my energy, I don't drink coffee, but I do a lot of exercise. If I drank coffee, I think my head might explode. But I have taught group exercise for 20 years now, and I truly believe in the power of sport and exercise. I don't work officially on Gatorade, But there was a brief in the building for Gatorade, who is one of our clients, that was encouraging young women to keep playing sport. Oh my goodness, it wasn't officially my brand. I was a creative director at the time, but I raised my hand to be a copywriter on that because I knew that I could write from the heart. I could write a script from the heart because that was entirely aligned with my values. And we got to make a really fun spot and do a campaign as a result of that because I knew that aligned with what I do. I am right now actually on shoot in London. I've just stepped away from my shoot for Sephora. And I'm so proud to work on Sephora, which is a beauty brand, because they believe in belonging and truly believe in inclusivity. And that's so important to me, especially, and I'm going to be frank, in the current climate, perhaps, of what we're seeing in America at the moment, to work with a brand that truly shares my values of belonging and inclusivity. So that's really amazing to me. But look, some of those brands, they don't have to be the cool brands, right? Well, all brands are cool, but there are brands that you might go, I didn't expect that would align with my values. So I was the creative director on Intuit QuickBooks for a long time. Intuit QuickBooks is a software, a financial services software that helps small business and helps them build their businesses and keeps them going. Their North Star was backing you. And to me, that was incredibly powerful. There's a kindness, a true kindness in what that brand would bring in helping small businesses. I am so proud that I'm the executive creative director for Discover Financial Services. They're a financial institution over here, a bank, right? But they believe in democratization of finance. That means that no matter how much money you have in your account, they still want to treat you like a VIP. And it's not bullshit. They truly, truly believe that. These are financial services brands that some people might think are boring, but to me, they really align with my values. I see the kindness in my clients and in what their brand values are, what core values happen as a result. So yes, I can be additive to those brands. So remember, that might not be an obvious brand answer for you. Dig deep and look at the brands you don't even expect. You might find that there's a space there that hits perfectly in the middle of that Venn diagram for you. I think one of the things about Intuit QuickBooks that really helped me out during the pandemic, just before the pandemic, I left Chiat for 1 year. I left it to go lead a travel brand globally. Now, this travel brand, I'm not going to name them, but they always talked about customer centricity, and I thought, oh, there's a kindness there that aligns with my values. Then COVID hit. And COVID hit, and people had lost their life savings when it came to trips that they were planning. They were stranded somewhere in the world when COVID hit because countries were shutting down. And this brand that I was working on, they didn't respond with their core values. They took forever to try and figure out what to do. And I was heartbroken by that. And I was given the opportunity to come back to Chiat and work with Intuit QuickBooks again to help small businesses. Oh my goodness. During COVID, they were helping small businesses stay on their feet. And that to me aligned with my values. So leaving a job to go back to Chiat aligned with my values and helped make that decision really easy for me. When you know your values, you can understand why it feels right to make a decision. It wasn't about the finances. It was about what sat well with my moral compass. So have a think about, that question and the brands in the building that work for you. Now, you could also bring in pro bono. You might be working on a client where you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm not sure it quite aligns with me, but I need to pay my rent, all those sorts of things too. Is there an opportunity for you to bring in pro bono that fits with your core values or fits with your agency values as well as a business need? Now, that's a key part, right? This is purpose and profit. Let's not forget, we all think about the bottom line as well because it keeps us all gainfully employed. Think about clients that you could bring in that fit with your agency's values, the swag, what's written on your walls as well. And could it fit a business need? So there might be a need in your agency to showcase your technical abilities. Maybe you haven't yet gone into, a really interesting space using AI, if you're allowed to use AI. Maybe there's a brand that you could bring in and do a really interesting tech-based project for them that showcases your agency's skills, helps you get more business, and also aligns with your values as well. I was very spoiled, whereas I got to work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation for multiple years. I got to lead their World Wish Day campaign. And that came about because I was working with a client on a detergent brand that didn't align with my values or her values. She left and she became the CMO of Make-A-Wish. Oh my goodness, what an amazing organization. I raised my hand, I reached out to her on LinkedIn and said, if you ever need any help at all, from copy checking to anything else, let me know. And as a result, I was able to bring that into the building, and we created multiple World Wish Day campaigns for them because it fit with our agency's values and it allowed us to sort of showcase some of the skill sets that we had as well. So when you think about pro bono, go wide. Think about all the different places and spaces. And you do not have to be a leader to do this as a leader and a manager. I've been bringing in pro bono to agencies from a very, very young age when I was a mid-range copywriter all the way up. There are opportunities to be able to find the right people to bring in when that aligns. I'm not sure, Celandili, do we have time for this? I can just talk about these things as well.
Yeah, I think we can skip the videos.
Yeah, no problem. So I can quickly tell you about this one. You can see the videos later on. This was in London when I was at an agency that really wanted to showcase work that was a little different, like out of home work. We started working with Amnesty International, and this was just through a friend of a friend. And we created this street art. Now, this street art that you're seeing is lenticular. So when you look at a fence straight on, you don't see anything. When you look side on, you see a face. And the gentlemen that you're seeing do this, they're an anonymous German street art collective called Mental Gassi. We reached out to them because we had an idea that you could make the invisible visible. Amnesty International has people all over the world that they're fighting for who are on death row or who are wrongly imprisoned or have been imprisoned without a proper trial. This man is Troy Davis. He was on death row in America at the time and hadn't been given sort of due process. So we reached out to this anonymous German street art collective randomly and said, hey, we have an idea that uses art that you've done, this lenticular street art, but tells a story of these people, these voices that should be heard. Oh my goodness. Amnesty said yes. The anonymous German street art collective said yes. We came together. This didn't cost the agency any money apart from the printing of these pieces. We wheat pasted them ourselves. This turned into a 2-year campaign for Amnesty International that their chapters all around the world used to draw attention to folks that were otherwise invisible. So again, think about places and spaces that align with your values that could show up. And you'll be surprised who will say yes when it comes to pro bono. It doesn't have to cost the agency a lot of money. You can, if it aligns with your values, you'll find that you've got a better chance of folks saying yes. The next question here. Could you, Dream World, match a pro bono client with an existing one? So Intuit QuickBooks is all about backing small businesses. We brought in Compton Girls Club. Now, Compton Girls Club is an after-school club for young women and gender non-binary folks here in Los Angeles. The person that you'll see in the back of their head, their name is Kirsten. They are the founder of Compton Girls Club. So I asked Kirsten what they would like, what their dream would be for the young members of their club. And Kirsten said to me, do you know what? These young members really want to know how to run a small business. A lot of them had dreams and desires to become small business owners, and they don't know how to do it. Oh my goodness, bingo, I have a client and their core value is backing small businesses. So I was able to introduce Intuit QuickBooks to Kirsten and the team. And this was just as the pandemic was happening. So we created an online course where each one of these young people were given training on how to start a small business from both our clients and from the agency and from us ourselves. And we gave each one of them a $250 stipend to help create their own small business. So it became that perfect intersection between the values of the pro bono account and the values of our client as well. And that just sat really well with my heart. The next part I want to talk about today is using your moral compass. You might be, Kirsten, you are blowing smoke up my butt. I'm still in a world where I can't get the pro bono. I'm not sure everything's sitting quite right with my values. It feels really odd to me. Maybe my job isn't aligning with my values. So where the heck do we go from there when we're trying to pretend everything's okay, but it's not okay? I get it, right? Sometimes you can't change your situation. When I first arrived in London, I had a visa that made me stick to a job. I couldn't get out of that job because I would have been kicked out of that country, but the job did not sit right with me. So where can you go from there? Okay, You can do something entirely proactive. It could be for another client in the building. It could be for clients that are elsewhere. Now, I'm getting a bit controversial here, right? If you're going to go work and volunteer your services for a client that isn't going to become a client for your agency, get permission first. There'll be a video that we can share later on as well. What you're seeing in that image on bottom right wasn't because I was unhappy at Chiat, but it was a client we didn't necessarily bring in the building, but I was given permission. I was allowed to be able to go work on them as a little side hustle as well. The Los Angeles Commission on the Status of Women really wanted to draw attention to human trafficking, in particular underage human trafficking that happens in Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, we see sex trafficking and underage trafficking of young kids, from the age of 8 to 12. It's crazy. There are known streets where young kids are pimped out in Los Angeles. And so we had an idea to actually create these signs. Rather, children at play is what you usually see. We created these signs around children at work to draw attention to the fact that these areas were known human trafficking areas. And if you saw something suspicious, to report it. That was something that didn't belong as a client for Chiat, but Chiat said, you know what, we really support you and your values and helping this brand. It's not in competition to any brands in the building for us. And I was even able to bring in a couple of other folks from Chiat who, the story aligned with their values as well. So if things aren't sitting right, find another space, find another outlet to be able to use those values. But if all else fails, if you're like, I don't have time to go work on another client, and I need to work on my day-to-day clients as well, I get it. Can you impact your agency culture in another way? Can you be additive? The other part is, can you fulfill your values elsewhere in your life? Maybe you could, bring on a hobby. Mine was always travel and exercise that I would bring into my world as well when things were really tough. But think about your agency. What brings you, what sparks joy for you that can spark joy in others? Mine is being a crazy dog mum. So I run dog parties a couple of times a year at our agency. I know it seems really silly, but actually I've realized that it aligns with my values, that kindness can go with furry creatures as well as human creatures. I run a secret Santa paws where every dog gets another, and we have dogs in the agency, by the way, lots and lots and lots of dogs. So each dog will get another dog's name and they buy themselves a gift. I run Independence Day parties where we all get together and we dress up in red, white and blue and we have costume contests. Maybe yours isn't dogs. Maybe you like baking like I do. I created Fresh Cookie Fridays. I snuck a tiny little oven into my agency and didn't tell office services and bring in my own home-baked cookie dough. And I make fresh cookies. Office services hates me, but I don't care. I love Easter. I love chocolate. You're sensing a theme, right? Every Easter, I become the Easter bunny and I hide 300 eggs around the agency. Now, we've got rats at the moment, so I had to hide 300 pictures of Easter eggs this year, but that's fine. You find a way through. That sparks joy in me. And I'll tell you what, when you hide 300 eggs or pictures of eggs, that sparks joy in others as well, because we get to be stupid and kid-like and have fun, because fun is a value that I really appreciate as well. So listen, if you can't find a space with another client in the building, if you can't bring in another client, maybe there's something you can do to be additive to culture that aligns with your values as well. I promise you it's going to spark joy. I didn't want to do a word cloud thing. We don't have time for that, but I want you to just think about this. What is your thing? What do you love outside of, work and life that you could bring into the walls of your office as well? And I know we're almost at time, so I've got one more thing for you. Commitment, right? I know that Silandele talked about this as well, and we can talk about this in the table gathering. But all of this, if you want to take these practices and put them into play for you, it's contingent on your leadership. And when I say leadership, you don't have to be a leader in your job title. Every one of us is a leader. We have a choice, right? We have a choice to ask ourselves some questions. What do you need to feel purposeful? What can you do to be committed? Well, you can take action. You can take action by thinking about what those values are, to be committed and to be curious. So if you want to find your purpose, you need to create it. Your mission by next Tuesday, if you're going to join me, think about what those values are. Think about what your value statement is. Get a Post-it note. Write it on your Post-it note and stick it on your laptop or stick it next to your bed. Because every day, if you read that Post-it note, It's going to be a declaration. It's going to be helping you make decisions, big or small, how you feel about your job, how you feel about the projects you take on, how you feel about your clients, how you feel about the joy that you can bring into your agency. So that's my mission to you. First off, thank you for dealing with whatever crazy Teams issues we've had, but think about those values. I would love to see you next Tuesday so we can talk about how they align. But I'm so grateful for your time and for hanging out with me. And I hope that you can find your values and maybe find your purpose too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone. I do have a poll in the chat. Please, can you respond to the poll so we can show Kirsten the impact she has had on you with this session? The question in the poll is, what's the one shift you are ready to make about how you show up? So it's about you and your journey and how you show up, inspired by the lessons that Kirsten has shared with us today. And I want to let you know that even though we are at time, we do have more sessions coming up. As Kirsten mentioned, on Tuesday, we've got a table gathering with her to workshop your values, your value statement, and we'll continue that work. And then on the Wednesday and Thursday, we've got a 2-part table gathering on leadership with Jeffrey Price. It's called The 6 Bones of Leadership. And as you know, table gatherings have limited seats. So if you want to strengthen and develop your leadership, do sign up for that as well. And then on the 25th of September, we have another installment of the Pitch to Win series with Bob Wiesner and Shauna Griffiths. They will be taking us through a session on Kill Data Sell Story.
Oh, I love
Thank
that.
you, Kirsten, for leading us
pleasure.
into this new season with honesty and challenge. And to our beautiful collective, thank you for showing up. You are the reason that this community exists. We will see you in the next session. Until then, keep learning, keep choosing, and keep showing up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.